right, hello everyone. I'm going to just check to make sure that everything is going. Should be going. I don't see why not. Okay. Well, hello everyone. I just thought I have a new lighting setup. So this is kind of fun, just kind of experimenting with that a little bit. Uh, also, um, have a few more goodies here. So, so I still have my camera. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller. So I still have my camera over here that goes to my haptic device. But I now have this other camera. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but we'll cut here. And so I'm over here as well. So this just gives you an idea. So this is my new light over here. We can get me off here. This is my new light over here. This is kind of fun. And it's a shotgun mic that I don't use too much. And then my regular Audio Technica mic here. A10 mini board there. Computer is hooked to a rig here. This is my sound rig. So all my headphones and microphone goes into that, which then goes into my computer. It actually does not go through my video board. So over here on this side, let's see if we can get you around here. I've got so this is a 42-inch monitor. On this side, I have another preview monitor, and then this is my video monitor up top. So this is my multi-view, and that is my program view. I've got an Apple TV just right down here. So that's kind of fun as well, and we'll do something on that. Hopefully my iPad is charged, which it is. So we'll be able to do something on that here shortly. So, but we'll go back to me here and put me back here. So that was a little tour around, but man, the lighting looks actually pretty good. I might be a little bit soft, but we'll work with that. Way better than my previous light. So I'm really excited about that. All right. So let's just go over so I'm going to put myself in the corner again. And we're going to go here and here. All right. So for those of you that don't know, we do have a podcast called the Prosthetics and Orthotics Podcast. We're in season 7. Each season of a podcast is 12 episodes. And so we have a bunch of episodes. We just published our 75th episode last week. And so this is our website. It's called T-Pop Podcast. So TPOP Podcast. And so that's what we're doing. The first one starts with, it was actually really cool. Why do a podcast around the digitization and field of prosthetics and orthotics? It's really great. And then there's quite a few other ones in here as well. So some of the highlights, we had Drew Meyer in here, Dennis Richards, Jeff Aaronstone talks a little bit about developing world prostheses. So that was cool. Season 2, we'll get back down here to the bottom here. This one was a good one with Ashley White. She's an advocate for all things prosthetics. We had some acquisition news as Hanger went private last week, talking about Derek Schmidt and his training. We had some things with John Naft. Ben Ryan shared a little bit about creating a prosthesis for his son. We had Richard Blaylock, who is a marathon runner, doing some amazing things in flexible sockets. And then we had Tyler Sugg is a designer with me, also a co-owner of Advanced 3D with myself. And he talks about how he got into 3D printing. He was, his dad owned a orthotic and prosthetic business, and it wasn't something that he was interested in as far as in the clinician side of things. Went to school for psychology and some other things, and fell in love with 3D printing at that point. And what was cool is seeing him do a lot of stuff in the cosplay. So making definitely an impact in the prosthetic and orthotic realm, just in a different way and not as a clinician. So a lot of people may like that. And then season 3, this one was a good one. Jenny Chen, who is a radiologist in California, shared a little bit about what she's got going on with 3D systems. Arthur Hobden talked about digital literacy and why that is important. Jackie Bailey, the clinical director of East Point, shared with us why 3D printing is so important to the practice that she runs in Ohio. And we also talked with Paul about his skill set as an engineer, but also now as a clinician as well. And this one was a good one with Jerry too. Jerry is a wealth of knowledge in many things, but he also believes in employee wellness and how important it is for clinicians to take care of themselves. That was great. This was a memorable one with Adil from Psionic. Really neat, talking about his story with the psionic hand. This one is always good. It's something that you don't necessarily want to talk about, but should be talked about in the orthotic and prosthetic realm, and that's safety and tools with Niles. Doing a great job. This one was a fun one with Brooke, talking about FDM. He was right at the beginning. And we talk about Quorum, who was one of an early adopter of multi-jet fusion and saw how things go. And then this one with Chris was awesome as well. So going into season 4, let's get back down here. Talking with Riley from Filament Innovations. That was really cool. And then a physical therapist in Hawaii. That one was a lot of fun. Matt from Coyote Prosthetics. Love what Coyote is doing. And then Chad. This one is actually still one of the most listened to episodes. Actually, these two were Chad from Salus University talking about the program there. And then this one was up there as well with Jan Nielsen talking about how his practice does a lot of 3D printing and they don't have to do L codes. We talked with Doug Young. That was a fun one. Bradley Veach from Toughware. Very cool stuff for upper extremity stuff. This one wasn't about 3D printing at all, but this one was with Trez Wright. No relation, but he was talking about quick turn sockets. Very cool. John McQuiggan from Coyote. That was a good one. Rick Noel with PVA. And then this was another one here. Oh, and then we had Comb O&P. And then Jen closed out the season. Also one of the most listened to, talking about return on investment with 3D printing. Very cool stuff. So then we started off with Ahmad talking about 3D printing and how they're using 3D printing for their very large regional practice. This was the 50th episode, which was awesome to have Dr. David Boone on with really the first commercially available specific to orthotics and prosthetic CAD program. Lots of ones going through here. We had these always seem to be popular too, about how to start 3D printing. This one was great with Katie in Latvia and also Jason Bender, Myanmar. And then this was another one. What other things do orthotists and prosthetists do? And then this one here about pediatric prosthetics and orthotics was a big one as well with Brian Emling from Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Oh, that one doesn't have a... So we'll come up here. Tony from Bionic came by. Hillary was talking about a series of books that she wrote about Roxy. Levin talked about point designs. We had Henrik with a contract manufacturer. That was cool, out of Sweden. Claire, this was a great one too, just talking about how kind of her journey from engineering into the field of orthotics and prosthetics and where things really connected for her. Seth O'Brien was also a great one, talking about things from the patient care side and some of the advancements in O&P. We talked about metal. Does it actually have an application in O&P? And that might be interesting. Kristen Carnahan was a great one, talking about education and private practice and elevated vacuum. That was a good one. Patient from Ben Shrulovic. That was a really good one as well. And then we talked about scanning. And then Mike Boland came on. So I got to figure out why that one does not have a thumbnail. And now we're into season... that one doesn't have a thumbnail either. We'll have to check on that. Season 7. This one was really great, talking about use cases for production 3D printing, what to look for when 3D printing. This was a great one, creating access to prostheses. And we talk about challenges and solutions for developing world. I thought that was great. And then our last one was with Justin Hopkins, talking about 3D printing and multi-jet fusion specifically. So that was a really great one as well. So that is season 1 through 7 so far. We've got some good ones coming up, hopefully releasing one tomorrow, pending an okay from someone. We have one okay. We're waiting for the second okay. So now what we're going to do is go into a little bit of Freeform. Pump that right up there. Okay. Oh, somebody just texted. So, okay, I want to allow this. And then I'm trying to get on so we can try this. Let me get this remote here. Well, technical difficulties here. Let me plug this in and plug it back out. Okay. Nonetheless, let's keep on trucking. So before we get there, I wanted to just go over a little bit on trans tibial sockets. So let's do that. We're going to screen that to this one. Okay. So we're going to go here and there. And we're going to go to full skeleton. And I'm going to cut to this and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Cool. So let's just talk about transtibial prostheses really quick. And some of the things that I look at. So with the advent of liners, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. Is we don't have to worry as much about how loading happens. So obviously we want to be anatomically correct, but how does loading actually happen? So liners really came into vogue around 1996 when they started making some off-the-shelf liners. There were some ones before then, um, but very basic, did not have fabric on top of them and such. So, but one thing I want to say is when you look at for a transtibial prosthesis, you've got the quadricep muscle, and then you've got the insertion over the patella here, right at the tibial tubercle. And one of the things that I find interesting is we push. Let me, how do I change that color here? Anyway, we push right here. But if you look at things from the side, there's no place really to push. And I think that's a big deal. So one thing I don't like to see in sockets, especially now with liners, is some sort of push on the patellar tendon. Because what that essentially does is it takes the insertion of the patella or of the quadriceps from here and you move it to up here. So you're essentially shortening the overall length of that tendon. And not only that, you're pushing into the empty space here, which can prevent full extension, which is important for normal walking. And so I think one of the problems with prostheses, since we've been with liners, is that idea that we need a patellar bar because we do not need it. In fact, I have seen though some people come on either side of the patella tendon and actually relieve that area. And I do think that is important, is a relief so the quadriceps can fully fire. So that's a little bit of my soapbox there. Now, one other thing is you have the insertion of the hamstrings. And so we like to, this posterior, we like to relieve. So you give where the two hamstrings are, and then you've got one hamstring on the outside. Having this overall, oh, high is important. There's a lot of people that may do a W. One may go up higher than the other. What I've just found over the years is those shapes are many, and ultimately you want to have the right sitting comfort. But one thing that you'll find is that when you relieve for the patella or the patellar ligament, patellar tendon, and you keep your shelf up high, you will have minimal anterior gapping when the patient's sitting, and they will still be comfortable. So just some things to think about when you're talking about transtibial sockets. So let's just hop into Freeform. Here we go. So this is Freeform here. And the one thing that I wanted to show today is the ability to do just the mesh. So, and how quickly you can do that. So we take it from a mesh and we move it into a voxel based. And we call it clay. And so you can see this one has some color to it. This one has a patellar tendon on it. This was not my socket, so no judgment here. But you can see that we've got some little bumps and such. And so what I'm going to do is just overall smooth that. This is a scan of a cast, so the modifications have already been done. So you can see that already. So I'm not super worried about that part. What I am worried about is I want to show you how to create just the mesh. So here we go. And I'm just going to quickly do this. It may not be perfect. And, oh yeah, I can do this. Let me just make sure, preview. Yeah. Why don't I do that? So now you can watch me with the haptic device as well. All right, you can always go back and change some things if you want. Well, we're just looking at this, making sure. So I'm getting a little bit more on this hamstring. Take some of that up. Okay. So then we'll actually just copy this to clay, or copied it back to mesh. So we're in voxels now. We're in back to mesh. But here's where things get interesting. Is now I can actually take this mesh and grab the trim lines from it. And this is what it looks like. So now I have this mesh and I can do whatever I want to with it. So I can put it into some sort of script, which automatically thickens and puts everything together. I can continue to use it in Freeform if I want to. It's not the way that I would do it, but there's some things that to think about in Freeform that you can do with this, especially if you had something that had a proximal section, distal section, and you wanted to create some thickness without messing with that original model. So you can actually turn this back to clay and thicken it. And we'll go thicken to the outside, and we'll just say 4 millimeters. So I actually think this is pretty powerful tool in a myriad of ways, but this is one cool thing that you can do with it. Now, I'm going to show some things later on, early 2024, on some of the things that I'm doing with the automation if you have this. So, with this mesh tied onto this socket, we know the orientation of both, and that's why the rest can be automated. And I think that's where the future of O&P is going, is letting the clinicians use whatever software they want to use, and and then automate whatever process they want to do. So if they want to do something with a puck style lock, they could do that. If they want something with an airtight lock, they can do that. If you want a suction socket, you can do that. If you want to elevate a vacuum, but they're not choosing to design each one. It's just that they know what they want, and that's where everything comes from a menu. So I really like that idea. If anybody has any questions, please put something in the chat, shoot me a DM or text or what have you. And I know that it's still the New Year's, and Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. I hope your day went well. And what an odd time of year, too, isn't it? With Christmas falling on a Monday, New Year's falling on a Monday. I think it's actually kind of neat. Was it a Monday? New Year's? Yep, New Year's is a Monday. And back to work on Tuesday. So anyway, well, thank you all for hanging out. I was just trying my new light and kind of set up with the iPad and such. For those that are curious, I'll go back to the iPad. Yep. Oh, there it is. I was on preview. Program. Multiview. For those that are curious, this is the Human Anatomy Atlas. It's very cool. You can do so much with it. Let me pick it back up. So it's for the iPad. We'll go this way. But you're really able to take a look at all the musculature of the body. And I think it's just very interesting, especially when you start talking about prostheses and how we apply a prosthesis to somebody, why this is important to take into consideration. So Atlas, and I'm hoping to use this a little bit more this year as well. So I don't see any questions. So thank you so much for being on today. Let's get back here. Make myself a little bit bigger. Yeah, thanks so much for being on. Appreciate you being a guinea pig for my lights here. Take care. Have a happy new year. I may hop on again tomorrow if I move some stuff around, and I'm going to try it out again. And we may look at some other things as well. So thanks again, and have a great evening.